running. I mean, we'd go to California and we would win contests with Berkshire pigs. And somewhere along the line, we decided that, you know, a litter of 8 to 12 piglets was not enough. We needed 15, or we needed 17. And we needed them to have piglets 3 times a year. And we needed them to make sure that they grew as fast as possible. So, for my farm, we chose Berkshires. And I didn't want to be a pig farmer. As a matter of fact, the last thing I wanted to do is deal with dirty, stinky, smelly pigs. Because that's what I thought. Dirty, stinky, smelly pigs. Turns out that pigs are one of the cleanest farm animals that you have on the farm. If you give them the right place to live, they go to the bathroom in one spot. They make a big, huge, wonderful, sweet-smelling nest for their babies. And what they love more than anything else in the world is to be out on pasture. The mud is just to cool them off. They don't have any sweat glands, so pigs roll in the mud, and they lay in the mud, and we call it spa day around our house. And the interesting thing about spa day around our house is when we had this beautiful sow, her name was Woody. And Woody was named by a 7-year-old boy. He didn't know that Woody was a girl. And so, you know, I mean, Woody seemed appropriate, because Woody was only this big. Woody came into our lives along with 6 other Berkshire piglets, and she's the one we decided to keep on the farm as our foundation animal. Woody grew to 1,000 pounds in 3 years. So when I say spa day, it can be 60 degrees, and for a 1,000-pound sow, a mud hole is the best place to be. And you know, although she would tiptoe around her little piglets like a ballerina, and I mean, those piglets are this big, and she never ever sat, stepped, or laid on one. When the spa day came, she would take her giant body, and she would whoosh. And be this huge tidal wave of mud. And if you were too close, you'd get covered in it as well. But you know, the other part about Berkshire pigs is it turns out that they want human contact. Now, I can't tell you about pink pigs, because my experience with pink pigs is that they were frightened. We lost a pig, and so we had to replace them for our farm family. So we drove to Auburn and we bought back 3 pink pigs, who we thought we were being very clever. We brought a dog carrier and we put it in the back of the Lexus because we saved money not driving the big 1-ton pickup. And so it's an SUV, right? You put things in the back of SUVs. 3 pink pigs proceeded to use the back of my SUV like projectile things all over. Don't carry pigs in the back of your car. And by the way, it's a very old paid-for car, because farmers don't buy anything new. It's reliable. It's carried hay and pigs and all sorts of other things. But you know, the thing about Woody that was unique is that along with all the other piglets, she was the sweetest. You'd scratch her ears and she'd roll over and get this big pet. She loved to have her belly petted. And it started when she was very young. And we had another pig. This pig, her name was Jake. Yeah. The same little boy's name. But Jake was a biter. And on our farm, we have people who come to our farm and we want them to interact with the farm animals. Because we want people to know where their food comes from, and we want you to understand that they're actually sentient creatures. So a biting pig is probably not a great pig to keep around. So Woody became our foundation sow. And over the course of the last 3 years, she has produced 2 litters a year and fed over, every year, 150 people, plus the ones I don't know that have eaten at Mark's Restaurant in Campo and eaten at the Great Basin Community Food Co-op. The funny thing about Woody is she had taste. We would pick up composted material from restaurants, and it would have oranges in it, and cabbage, and onions, and Woody would throw it outside of her pen. She's like, I'm not eating cabbage. Who do you think I am? I am 1,000. I'm not eating cabbage. Where's the milk, lady? Where are the pumpkins? Excuse me. And, by the way, she had a healthy appetite for eggs. And anybody who came out to our farm understood that, and so the best thing in the whole world is to take an egg, and here's this giant sow's head, and you just hold it out, and she would take that egg, and she would carefully put it in her mouth, and push it all the way back, and crunch it to get all the beautiful yolk and good stuff, and she would eat the whole thing without spilling a drop, unless you fed her a frozen egg. And it doesn't matter that the egg was no longer frozen. There was something about the shell and the inside coating of a frozen egg that she spit out all over the ground. The other thing about Woody, and I don't know any other pig that does this, she shelled peanuts. And if you think I'm kidding, there are some little kids that were pretty awed by a 1,000-pound pig taking one peanut, sticking it in her mouth, chewing it up, getting the nuts out, and then spitting the shells out. Woody changed my life. Woody was such a sweet, gentle, giant creature. And, you know, we always had this conversation. This was a tough conversation to have. What do you do with a 1,000-pound pig when she's no longer viable on a farm? Because that's part of farming. It's the life and death cycle. We thought, oh, Woody's going to live 5 years, because that's about their cycle. I mean, that's really about the gestation and the period, and we're going to be okay. We don't have to think about that. But we thought, okay, well, if we have to do something, then we want Mark to do something beautiful with her. We want him to make her into salomis and a gift to the community of something really unique with this 1,000-pound pig. That didn't happen for us. Woody had a wonderful, wonderful life on our farm. We used to take her out to the alfalfa field and she grazed with her sheep. She ate peanuts out of little kids' hands, and she had the best food possible. But you know, things happen when animals are born on the farm. And the reason I chose Woody is because she taught me humanity. She had her biggest litter. It was 12 baby piglets, and they were beautiful. And she struggled really hard to get 2 or 3 of those piglets out. And you know, we were there every single time that she had a piglet. I mean, we slept in the barn, seriously. In the middle of winter, if she had piglets and it was 23 degrees, one of us was sleeping in a chair, in a sleeping bag, so that when those piglets were born, we were there to capture them, dry them off, and make sure that they got milk. This particular time, she was having a tough time. And so we were there, and we were worried, and we were concerned, and we're like, okay, this has been a long time. And Woody laid there, and she nursed every single one of those piglets, all 24 hours. And I'll tell you why that's important. All animals, human or any other creature, has to have something called colostrum to live. And if they don't get colostrum, they have no antibodies, and they generally don't. They don't thrive, or what they do is they die. But Woody laid there with those 12 piglets, even after struggling all night long, and she fed every one of those piglets. And the next morning, for the first time, after 3 years, she moved. She was not with the piglets. She went outside of her creep, the nursery, and she was laying outside. And my partner, Jill Heaton, and I went down, and we looked at our big 1,000-pound pig, and she was breathing heavy. And we knew something wasn't right. And so we tried really hard to get Woody up. And by the time that these 2 women picked up this 1,000-pound pig, we really had to encourage her to get up. She made a sound that was very human, that said that she was not okay. And we called our mobile butcher, because that's what an honorable thing is that a farmer does. You don't waste anything. But the butcher couldn't be there till 3 o'clock, and this was 9 o'clock in the morning. And so you know what? We had to make a decision. And we said, we can't let her suffer. And we called our vet, and our vet said, I wouldn't even know how to put a pain medicine into a vein of a pig, because there's no pig vets around here. And I'm not sure there's anything I can do for her. And so my partner said, if I have to, I will shoot her. I'll put her down. And we don't kill our own animals except for poultry on our farm. We let professional USDA butchers, or people who know how to do it really well, do their job. We're the stewards. We're the keepers of the animals. We feed them and care for them. Well, this was a weekend. And so we went over to our neighbor's house, and I don't know quite how Jill got it out, but she said, Woody's down and we can't get her up. And he came over with his gun and his backhoe. And I can tell you that that experience, to a different person might say, I'll never raise pigs again. I don't want to do this, it's too hard. Farming's too hard. You know what it told me? This is exactly what we should be doing. with humanity and care, that these are animals that are sentient. And it doesn't matter whether you're a vegetarian or you're a conscientious omnivore. The life of each animal that you care for is important. And today, Woody's buried on our farm, and her offspring, Sunflower, gave us 12 little piglets a month ago. And they're beautiful. You're seeing pictures of them. I mean, they're less than a month old in these photographs. And so when you think about food, and you think about all the things in the world that you have choices for, please think about the pig. Because the reluctant pig farmer says the best thing that you can do for your community is give them something fresh and wholesome and done in a way that treats everything